Carlos Prates versus Ian Garry took place back in April, and in it, we saw something that went a little deeper than just a run-of-the-mill clash of two up-and-coming prospects. We saw a very much old-school style of fighter in Carlos Prates versus a very much new contemporary style of fighter in Ian Garry. And there are a number of things that are interesting about this. For one, Carlos is a member of the Fighting Nerds, which is very much a contemporary style gym. They have a lot of high-level athletes who come into mixed martial arts with very deep bags and very diverse skill sets. But then there's Carlos Prates. Carlos is textbook Muay Thai through and through, from the long guard to the high guard that he uses, to the bouncing of the lead leg. Everything about his stance and style screams Muay Thai, as well as even his lifestyle. The mainlining of alcohol and cigarettes are things that are steeped in traditional Muay Thai culture. And then you have Ian Garry. Now, Ian Garry trains at Shootbox, Charles Oliveira's gym, which, while it does have its fair share of contemporary athletes who come through it, for example, we saw Mika Govao train with Charles Oliveira there recently. Obviously, Charles Oliveira has decent leg lock entries. For the most part, it's a very traditional gym that produces very traditional fighters with traditional styles. So it's interesting to see Ian Garry come out of there because Ian Garry is anything but old guard. He is a modern mixed martial artist through and through, to the core, very well-rounded. He has very high-level grappling, very high-level kickboxing. He mixes the two things together very well. And he also makes very intelligent and sophisticated game plans, tailored to take his opponent where they are the weakest, rather than just focusing on what he is the strongest at. We saw a very good example of this in the Michael Venom Page fight recently, where he used back takes and leg lock entries to stifle Michael Venom Page's very unorthodox striking that was clearly a problem for him on the feet. But that isn't to say his striking isn't also high level. However, when coming into this matchup, a lot of people were looking at it from an outside view and saying, well, if Garry wants a chance at beating Prates, he has to not stand with him. He's going to have to take him to the ground the same way he did with MVP. And this is just because of how dangerous Carlos is. And Ian Garry did attempt a number of shots on him, but the issue that he ran into with that is that Carlos simply has some of the best takedown defense in the entire division, which is crazy because normally it's a huge weakness for the Muay Thai stance. In fact, it's probably its only weakness because a very tight high guard and a lead leg that's lifted or very light actually is able to nullify most striking offense pretty significantly. However, when you stand tall and upright with a narrow base and your hips easily accessible, you are just begging to get taken down. And that's exactly what happens to anybody who attempts to implement this style in a cage in most situations. Just look at Khalil Roundtree. Most of us know the story of Khalil Roundtree Jr. as the guy who got knocked out by elbows, short elbows in the clinch no less, from one Johnny Walker during Johnny Walker's debut, actually. And this really bothered Khalil because Khalil always saw himself as a Muay Thai fighter, or so he thought. Elbows in the clinch should have been something he was easily prepared to deal with. So what does he do? He gets on a plane, flies to Thailand, and begins training Muay Thai with high-level Muay Thai athletes, and he just steeps himself in its culture. And in his very next fight against one Eric Anders, he absolutely decimated him with his Muay Thai. He picked him apart with a very traditional textbook Muay Thai style. And nobody could stand with him after that, or so we thought. So what happens in his very next fight after that? He gets taken down by a wrestler by the name of Ion Kutalaba, who absolutely destroys him on the ground. He gets him down very handedly, gets him to mount, and knocks him out with ground and pound pretty quickly. Now, following this, he was forced to adapt to a much more traditional mixed martial arts style with a wider base and lower hands to facilitate takedown defense. The only people who we've ever really seen effectively get away with a traditional Muay Thai stance in the sport of mixed martial arts are people who can overcome this deficiency by some other attributal strength. One example is a guy like Charles Oliveira, who Charles Oliveira doesn't actually care if you take him down. If anything, he'll just pull guard off of your shots because he's very content to work off of his back, play guard. He has very high-level striking defense off of his back as well as offense. and obviously some of the best submissions in the UFC, so this doesn't end up being an issue for him. There are other people like Jose Aldo, or in this case, Carlos Prates, who are just really fast and really athletic and are just able to be quicker than your takedown. In the case of Prates, though, he is incredibly quick and very good at outmaneuvering takedown attempts. And he was actually able to circle out of most of Ian Garry's shots and get to his back before he was ever able to be taken down. And that's not skill or talent per se. That's really just genetics. That's something in Carlos's DNA. His fast twitch muscle fiber composition just allows him to be that explosive. It's also part of why he's so good at knocking people out, because he hits so hard and so fast. So that's not something many people can get away with, but he can. I mean, just look at this sequence here. Garry sets up a single leg, and Prates immediately grabs Garry's hamstring and is already on his back before Garry can come even close to running the pipe. Now, if Prates had decent jiu-jitsu or back takes, he definitely could punish that here by going for the back take, but instead he just disengages. And that's fine for his skill set, but in the context of this fight, it didn't end up working out for him super well because he really wasn't getting much done out in the open. And this is an issue with the Muay Thai style that goes beyond just the takedowns. The stance is very stationary. Traditional Muay Thai is a game of turns, where one fighter will unload a combo on another fighter who shells up, and then that fighter will take a turn unloading a combo on the other fighter while they shell up. And this was Carlos's fight to lose on the feet. He had every advantage in the striking on paper. But look what's happening here. Every time Ian Garry closes the distance, Prates shells up, either long guard or high guard, and backs away. He doesn't really go to land any counters. So what does Ian do? He simply never backs up, and Prates gets very little offense off early. Now, Garry does gas himself out doing this, and he nearly gets finished in round 5. But he won all the other rounds, so it doesn't actually matter. This also highlights a second issue of the Muay Thai style. Most Thai fighters aren't very good in the pocket. It's such a rangy style that you don't really spend a lot of time being close to people, especially because of things like knees and elbows. And so when it comes to pure boxing, we see a significant weakness from anybody who has a Muay Thai style. And they really struggle in the pocket. I mean, just look at John Jones. He is a fundamentally Muay Thai style fighter, obviously also a wrestler, but Muay Thai is his striking art. But what does he do in the fights that he's had that have been the closest, that have come the closest to him losing, or in the case of Dominic Reyes, fights that he should have lost? He spends too much time in the pocket against high-level boxers. And the usual response of a Muay Thai fighter in the pocket is to just go long guard and circle out. But that doesn't work very well in MMA because you can very easily be cut off against the cage. Or if you're facing somebody with a speed advantage, alternatively, this is also a significant issue. And when you combine that with the takedown threat, there's just too much to worry about to be able to be effective in the pocket. This also makes it much more difficult to effectively utilize knees. So what can we do to fix the sport of Muay Thai in mixed martial arts? Well, for one, learn to not neglect the pocket. The pocket is something that a lot of people are overlooking in MMA right now, not just Muay Thai fighters. And to be fair, there is so much you need to learn in mixed martial arts that it's a hard one to spend time focusing on. But if you don't have skills in the pocket, you're going to get in trouble really fast. Just ask Ilia Topuria. Number 2, you need to learn to be flexible with your stance. If you can have a wider stance, a lower stance, something that is better for takedown defense, you're going to be able to utilize your Muay Thai offensive weapons much better without having to worry about defense constantly. And if you can't defend takedowns, you definitely need to change your stance. Now, third, you need to be cutting angles. And this goes in with point 2, because if you have a wider stance and you're cutting angles, you have better footwork, you're going to be more defensively sound without relying on shelling up. Because when it comes to traditional Muay Thai, it's a war of attrition. Like I said, it's 2 guys unloading combos on one another, trying to knock each other out, where one shells up and stands still and the other shells up and stands still. And just by cutting angles, you completely change that rhythm, not only for your opponent, but for yourself. And this is not only going to completely change your defensive acumen, but it's also going to really open up your ability to counter, particularly with the leg kicks. If you cut angles on a leg kick, it's going to open up a lot of opportunities for you. And finally, please, for the love of all that is holy, say "uy" just a little bit less.